Pastor Rick, we are less than 2 weeks away from the election.
It's true.
And I know that you've received a number of questions. Mm-hmm. So we're going to kind of do a rapid fire election season questionnaire. So I'm going to ask you all the controversial questions. Every question that could ever get you in trouble.
You know what it's going to be like? It's going to be like Zootopia with a sloth behind the counter.
Yeah.
And the rabbit comes in.
All right. That's such a good scene.
So you're going to ask him all these rapid fire questions, and I'm going to answer like the sloth.
Well, these are just the kind of questions designed to, keep you out of trouble, because politics isn't in any way divisive or controversial or anything. So I'm sure that you won't get any feedback about these answers.
It will be what it will be. And
it will.
If I can't stand behind it, I shouldn't say it.
Well, and if I am predicting what you'll say with any level of accuracy, it'll probably get taken down off YouTube anyways. So you won't even have to.
Which has happened before.
Yeah, I know. So we'll see. But in all sincerity, I think many Christians, many people in our church are looking at the impending election and would love some help in how to think through it, how to think through the decision that they need to make, how to think through the state of our country. I mean, there's a variety of issues that weigh in on it. But I want to start by sharing a tweet that I saw from a pretty prominent evangelical pastor, someone whose books we've probably used and whose ministry we're all probably familiar with. He tweeted out, I don't know, maybe a week ago, less than 2 weeks ago. The tweet read, "Never Trump, this time Harris, always Jesus," period. And that was his statement, and obviously I think his official pastoral endorsement. What are your thoughts on that tweet? And then as a follow-up, that's obviously how he's thinking through this election. How are you thinking through your vote?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's an oxymoronic statement in that...
What he said, his tweet.
Yeah. Because I don't think you can be faithful to Jesus and choose the greater of two evils. Which I would say Kamala Harris represents the greater of the two evils between her and Trump. I do understand that Trump's attitude is unbecoming. His vocabulary is disdainful. His moral rectitude is marginal, if at all. He's not necessarily a moral man. He's not a man that I would ever desire to be the representation.
You would never write him in.
No. Yeah, sure. I would not. I see the candidates as representatives of platforms. Okay, that's how you got to look at it. And sure, he is an imperfect man, a sinful man, of course, as we all are, but his sins are public and exaggerated and, so on.
Yeah, scrutinized.
Yeah. But so are Kamala Harris's, although I think there's some variance in the treatment of exposure. So the media is very eager to expose Donald Trump's faults and very reticent, if willing at all, to expose Kamala Harris's moral failures and situations. Yeah. The stories that I've heard are not flattering at all and wouldn't cause me to see her as a monument to moral virtue, right? But what really is the differential between them, which I think this pastor is failing to recognize, is that we are not voting for the most moral of people. We are voting for the most moral of platforms, which is huge to me. The Democratic platform is wicked. Just in every turn, it's wicked. Now, that is not to say there is nothing good about the Democratic platform. I can't throw it all out. There are some things that are okay in that platform. But the assaults on Christianity and biblical morality that are vocally and vociferously put out by the Democratic platform makes it impossible to vote for that. Even if it would be a member of our church that was nominated who was representing the Democratic platform, I would never be able to vote for them.
Yeah.
Because they're representing a platform. That's what you're voting for, is what they say they're going to do in governing, right? That's the point. What they say they're going to do in governing. Kamala Harris and the Democratic platform have said in governing they're going to advance the transgender agenda, the LGBTQ plus agenda, the abortion essentially to late term agenda.
Even after birth.
Well, if you go with Walz and what he has done in his state,
Minnesota,
right? Yeah. So there, which for clarity, right, is that they removed the obligation of the physician to preserve the
life-saving treatment for a baby that survived
an abortion. Right.
Yeah.
He's
Now
removed
they have to
care for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Which can mean the same as deal with them. I mean, you know, it's completely open to interpretation.
Absolutely.
So that kind of a gap in the fence is wide enough to drive a bulldozer through, right? Yeah. So it's completely contrary to a pro-life position.
Yeah.
The issue of socialism that are advocated in the taxation laws and other things that have been advocated by the Democratic Party. There are so many things in the Democratic platform that run contrary both to, in my opinion, what the Word of God advocates, as well as what our Constitution mandates, that I cannot see anybody voting for the Democratic Party, regardless of how virtuous the representative of that platform is. Now, on the other hand, you have the Republican platform, which is not perfect.
For sure.
It is not. I'm not saying that the Republican platform is biblical. What I will say, it is vastly more biblical than the Democratic platform. The Republican platform is one that is representing pro-family, pro-marriage, restriction of abortion, even though it is not as restrictive of abortion as we would desire. Sure. But in comparison to the Democratic platform, it greatly restricts abortion, giving freedom to states to completely outlaw it if they choose, right? So the freedom to outlaw is present in the Republican platform. Right. It is not in the Democratic platform.
No, I think the Democratic platform is seeking to codify abortion rights federally. Yeah.
How could you vote for that?
Right.
How could you vote for a candidate representing a platform that seeks to codify or make universal the right to kill someone? I don't see how a Christian could vote for that, ever. We are seeking to gain popularity to the pro-life agenda.
Yeah.
And any gain we can find, we ought to embrace. If we save, if we have the ability to save 0 out of 100, or we have the ability to save 45 out of 100, 45 out of 100 should be chosen hands down,
right,
without hesitation.
Right.
Now, just because you want 100 out of 100 doesn't justify the failure to get the 45. You talk to those 45 in eternity and see what they would have preferred, right? So I think it's necessary for us to realize that. Now, abortion isn't a single issue. You have the transgender issue. You have the issue of boys playing in women's sports. You have boys using girls' locker rooms, bathrooms. In schools, you have abortion on demand. You have pushing to younger and younger stages of development. transgender surgeries,
Right.
the restriction of parents' right to exercise authority in their children's lives, whether it's on the issue of shots or whether it's on the issue of transgender treatments or whether it's on the issue of identification, that they're saying that parents don't even have the right to know that their children are identifying as the opposite sex then assigned at birth, quote unquote. I mean, that's what all the Democratic platform is for, all that.
Yeah.
How could a Christian ever
Right.
vote for those things?
I've heard it described as a culture of death.
Yeah.
Pro-abortion, pro-dismantling gender, which inevitably leads to the inability of young people to have children.
Right.
Pro the destruction of young people's bodies. I mean, it's a culture of death. It's pro-destruction of humanity.
So now they say they're not for those things because
Of course, for sure.
you run moderate and govern liberal. That's what the liberals have done for years and years. During election cycles, they swing toward the middle.
Right.
And then once they gain the office, they swing back to the liberal. And America needs to just realize, okay, that's the game. That's the game they play. We need to see through it. And so, however, in this particular election cycle, even the moderate form of the Democratic platform
It's pretty radical.
is radical.
I know.
I mean, I cannot see how any person would say, I would rather embrace a wicked platform than vote for Donald Trump.
Right.
I just don't see that. I'm not voting for Donald Trump as much as I am voting for the Republican platform, which he represents.
We're voting for the platform that will most restrain evil.
Exactly.
That's not to say that both platforms won't allow some more evil than we would like.
Right.
Which one restrains it the most? That's one of the roles of government.
And I think that we need to recognize that this is a situation where we realize both are flawed, immoral people.
Yeah.
Both.
For sure.
You have a choice in the person, in the people representing both platforms. Both of them are flawed, greatly flawed.
Right.
So there's no question about that. Erase the face of both. Don't look at the face. Don't look at the gender. Say, what do they represent? And go a step back to their platform and say, okay, these are the representatives of a platform. We are not a democracy in our country.
Right.
We are a representative republic.
Right.
So the idea of us electing representatives is what it's about. And she represents a platform that I believe is wicked. Donald Trump represents a platform that is not perfect, but is incomparably better than the Democratic platform.
Yeah.
So to me, that's an absolutely moronic statement.
Yeah. No, I think that's well said.